On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, we discuss the phenom known as Calgary's Mike Soroka and talk a little Western Canadian Baseball League as their season is now underway. Welcome to episode 35 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland, and for the first time in what feels like forever, we have my co-conspirator. Actually, he's mainly the conspirator, and I'm just the tag-along. I ride his coattails for the most part. Ian Wilson joining us on the program this time around. Hey there, Ian.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it is baseball season. The summer has finally shown up, and we've got WCBL action already starting up. We're going to get to that a little bit later on, but I wanted to start things off talking about he's not just the baseball story in Alberta or in Canada. I would argue Mike Soroka is the talk of the baseball world right now, based just simply on numbers, but his performances have been stellar, and the Calgary kid is doing his home country, his home province, his home city extremely proud.
Very well said, and it's phenomenal to watch his stellar season unfold. You know, he's about, 50 innings in, and ERA just above 1, and every time he gives up one run in a game or possibly two, his ERA goes up, which says everything you kind of need to know about how fantastic he's been. And one thing I've found really interesting is, we kind of approached him as, hey, this is great. This is a pitcher who's in the major leagues and he's from Calgary. There's none of those. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of just to be in the dance for the longest time was this is great. He made it. Fantastic. And then now it's shifted so much from he's not just carrying the flag of I got drafted and I made it to the major leagues. What he's doing now is kind of moving the goalposts on us where we're wow, he's really, really good. And, I think we had a sense that he was a very gifted athlete and very good pitcher, but I don't think anyone in our circle knew that he was quite this good.
No, and even beyond that is I don't think a lot of people even within the ranks of Major League Baseball were thinking, hey, this is going to be a kid that I think there were maybe some, hey, he could be potentially thought of as an early Rookie of the Year candidate, maybe, but just based off numbers and the performance he's put up, he's looking at maybe some Cy Young votes. If the season were to end right now, I'm sure he'd be in the running.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the names that you're kind of seeing out there is Mike Soroka for him right now, right? he's just got those dominant numbers, and it's not just the numbers. I mean, the numbers tell a story. When you watch him pitch, you just see how he's working, and that he's got an intent with every pitch and every at bat that he's working through. He's very deliberate, very focused, and one of the stunning things to me is when you talk to people who know him and have been around him, and sometimes you're texting other baseball people when he's pitching, and you hear from these people, well, he didn't even really have his A game last night, and that'll be after he's pitched 5-6 innings of one-run ball again, and maybe given up one or two hits. I believe it. I think there's another gear and another level for him, which is, it almost sounds overly optimistic to say that, but I think you can actually see that with him.
Well, and the crazy part, too, is that when you talk to him, and you and I both had that opportunity to chat with him, but you see him in the media scrums after games, and you hear how composed he is. I think there's this sense of, hey, you know what? He can handle anything that comes his way, even if and when he does go through invariably that struggle where he goes and loses a couple or gets a few no decisions or finally does get roughed up for an inning or two.
Absolutely. He doesn't seem to get too terribly flustered. And even you can kind of see when he does, but it's such a, you're really looking for the minutia in his body language when he does. It's just he'll catch the ball back from the catcher a little more aggressively than normal, or things of that nature. And you're right, when you do speak with him, he's just, his poise and maturity are brought up often, but he's also very intelligent in his craft and knowing how to go about things. And one of the things I've really enjoyed seeing with him is he looks, I mean, I'd be happy too if I had his pitching resume for 2019, but he looks pretty happy and fairly loose when he's around the game. Like he's smiling a lot. And you see when he's in those scrums after the game, like you can almost see him fighting a full-on grin over some of the questions he's getting, and that's just great to see. I mean, the guy is still 21, and you don't want him to be, just so focused and overly serious that he's losing the fun part of the game, and I don't think he's lost that at all. And it is interesting. I did go back and read my story from the interview I had with him a year ago, and he at the time he was just like, yeah, I want to go out and I want to dominate every pitch. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds a bit arrogant or cocky, but the way he broke it down was really interesting. And that he was mainly talking about of the intent of every pitch and every pitch having a purpose, and not so much, well, you have to throw the perfect pitch here, because that BS about chasing perfection, like that you can't ever really throw the perfect pitch or the perfect game, even though that does exist. Yeah. Even within the confines of that, you need some luck and you need things to go your way. But just the way that he was talking about being very deliberate and intentional and focused, and maybe being able to miss a little bit, but getting away with that and moving on from that.
One of the things that I've taken away in listening to some of the conversations around Mike in Atlanta is how he manages to manage each at-bat, and it all starts with a first pitch strike. It's amazing. You and I both play slow pitch, and we always talk about, getting that strike and getting ahead of the batter. It's no different when it comes to actual baseball, where you're at a disadvantage as a hitter. If you're down 0-1, you're now having to try to fight a pitch that maybe you didn't want to have to fight against before. And Mike's become that good at being throwing batters off. He's not throwing first pitch fastball all the time. It's all of a sudden it's an off-speed pitch. It's something a little different, right? Like it's all over the map, but it's always for strikes. Yeah,
and I think too, he's earlier in the season when you watch him pitch, he had a lot of stuff that was down in the zone. Still great pitches, but they were just kind of catching the corners and catching that box, and normally getting the calls. Like they were just good pitches. From what I've seen, even in the last few starts, is he's opened it up a bit. I remember thinking early in the season, I was like, why doesn't he throwing up high like that? Like just because he's thrown so many in a row that are down low. He's starting to do that. He's starting to mix things in a little bit more. Which tells me he's getting a little more confidence in what he's doing. And also, one of the things I was hearing on one of the broadcasts was just how he doesn't show all of his pitches in the first go-round for batters. He'll show them something the first go-round, and then the second go-round and even the third go-round, third at-bat, they are seeing a pitch that they hadn't seen in previous at-bats, which is great plan with him and his catchers and the staff there to do that.
Makes it pretty tough to scout a guy when you're sitting there not knowing what to expect. Is he going to go fastball like he did last time, or is he going to go breaking ball this time, or does he have a curve up his sleeve, or maybe he's learned some other pitch miraculously, and I'm not expecting that at all either.
Yeah, and if you watch, for those of our listeners who are on Twitter and follow Pitching Ninja, if you watch some of the overlays that they do of Mike's pitches, it's just incredible to see, because they'll show the pitch coming in, and it's coming in same arm slot, the same angle, and the first however many 30, 40 feet, the ball is going the same way, and then just the variety of destinations it could end up to are quite insane to watch. So you really can't tell when that ball is just going to fall off the table or slide to the hitter, or just be a fastball, right? So it's really hard for a hitter to adjust to that.
Hard to believe as well that not only is Mike getting accolades for his pitching, but also for a certain song that was written on his behalf as well. Instead of My Sharona, it's now Mike Soroka, done with a violin. I mean, this kid has become a phenom and really well loved in Atlanta for a variety of reasons. The song as well.
He's a cool Canadian. Now he's pitching for the A. Mike Soroka. ERA is less than one. His sinker means the batter's done. Mike Soroka. He has thunder thighs. That's a lie, but his thunder thighs always help him out when he needs to strike out the sign. Whoa, Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka.
Yeah, it's always fun to see that, and it was good to see that he enjoyed that as well, and he liked that he shared that song. It's funny, there was a different version of that song, not the violin one that kind of really went viral this year, that came out last year, and it was, it wasn't the production quality wasn't quite as good, but
Right.
It's a pretty catchy tune, man. His name works out perfectly with that My Sharona song, so.
It is amazing to see. And coming up next, we're going to chat with one of the gentlemen who knew Mike as a youngster. Brent Cooper is going to join us from PBF. He obviously has a lot of insight. Saw Mike pitch for the first time in person as well. And a great conversation coming up next here on Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. Brent, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Take us back to the very first time you ever met Mike Soroka, and what stuck out to you?
Very first time, I'm thinking he's 12 or 13 years old. I'm coaching with the Redbirds, the PBF Redbirds here in Calgary. First thing that sticks out, just genuinely gifted height-wise. At that age, he was quite a bit taller than kids his own age. So as a coaching or any sort of leader, you look for the key tools with a kid that age. So height is definitely one that sticks out.
Was he always a pitcher, or was there other dreams and aspirations?
No, he absolutely was not always a pitcher. He loved and still loves to take batting practice and played the field as well. Also, I'm quite sure most people are aware he's a goaltender by trade in hockey when he was a younger hockey player as well. So very talented, just genuinely athletic family. So I believe his father played a number of sports as well. So genuinely just a good all-around kid at the sports that he played.
When he was with you guys, what made you go, this kid's got something going for him?
Probably, and it took a few years. He was the kid that was taller than everybody, but kind of at that sort of adolescent age bracket, when you're a little bit taller than everybody else, comes a little bit more clumsy, little awkward stage. And then you try to work with the kids getting through that kind of period of time. And it wasn't till probably 16, after he got involved with the Jim Lawson, Chris Rietzma, kind of grasped onto him, and Jordy Alexander would be another name. They really started refining the tools. He started putting the coordination together, and they really focused in on the pitching aspect for sure.
Do you remember the moment where it looked like the light bulb turned on for him, and that he went, you know what, this is something I can do, even not even just to be a high draft pick or anything, but I can continue down the line with this?
Yeah, so, being a coach in the program and starting with kids at a young age, you see them year after year. And in the position that I was in, I was involved with the catchers. And also, I quite often was throwing the batting practice as well. So I would see the hitting aspect on a daily basis, and I would see the pitching aspect from a catcher's point of view. I wasn't necessarily directly involved with the pitching instruction per se to Mike, but I think the first light bulb moment, really for myself, you hear about kids having talent and going away and having some success, but when he returned from his very first trip with Team Canada, that was where you see the dramatic improvement and dramatic of like, oh wow, this kid is really good. So I would say that first trip with Team Canada exposure, that upper echelon of coaching, really kind of took Mike to that next level.
It's one thing to have a whole bunch of talent, but it's another to put it all together and to have the mindset to continue rolling with it. Talk about his brain and how cool as a cucumber he seems to be in every facet of the game, even at the pro level now.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you anything that you haven't heard already here, but I mean, Mike is above average on the baseball knowledge scale during a game, after a game, even just casual conversation. You throw a stat at him and he can respond back with some historical fact that you haven't even contemplated yet. So it's amazing to talk baseball with a talent like that. But Mike's always been, he's generally speaking, he's taking a very casual or basic approach to and employing it with great success. Like I think any coach at any level encourages their pitchers to throw strike one. And I mean, generally speaking, if you throw strike one, you're going to have some success. Well, Mike's doing strike one with all of his pitches, and he's attacking you constantly hear him talking about attack the zone with all of his pitches. And I think a blessing in disguise was his health scare or brush last year. I mean, that's really instilled in him to focus on what he needs to do in between starts and what he needs to do to maintain his body as well, and take the time to rest and recuperate, because at the end of the day, 162 games is a long, long schedule for sure. So
it's one of those things to have a work ethic where you're at it all the time. It's another to attack it with some discipline. And it sounds like that's almost the idea that he's taken in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you take a step back and look at the coaching staff he has surrounding him and the teammates he has surrounding him, I mean, they have Glavin, Smoltz, Maddox still involved. They show up at spring training. You have some great resources as far as coaching staff all through the minor leagues and at the major league level. And I mean, the core group of them, the Rileys, the Acuñas, the Albies, they kind of traveled through that minor league system as a core group, and they get to the major league level and they're all comfortable with one another. It's not like you're trying to find out who your teammates are. You already know everybody that you have had success with all through the levels. So
what's it been like for you to be able to watch Mike develop and roll through the minor league system and now doing as well as he is on a major league level?
I mean, you'll probably hear a lot of people say surreal, but I mean, you coach for so long in a province that has had plenty of success at various levels of baseball, but every kid tells you they're going to be the next major leaguer, and God bless them. I hope every one of them makes it, but statistically speaking, that's just not a reality. So as a coach, you're trying to push them along, maybe get their education paid for, some sort of success out of that side of it. But when you see a kid get drafted in the first round, that's eye popper. And he's just kind of, I know myself, I was like, Mike is the salt of the earth. He is such a nice family, such a nice individual, and realistically, he hasn't changed a whole lot as a person with the success that he's had. So, I mean, just to pick up, shoot him a text and say, hey, you're you're in Arizona. I'm going to fly down in a couple of weeks. And he's like, absolutely, we got tickets for you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. So he's just a really kind and loves the game.
How emotional was it for you to go down there and to watch this kid that you've known for 6, 7, 8 years sitting there and pitching in a Major League Baseball game?
Emotional. I was lucky enough that I was able to take my wife down last year to his first appearance in New York as well. And both times, I mean, you have the tickets in your hand, you have it in your head, you know you see him in the bullpen, and then you see it up on the giant scoreboard that he's starting, and there's his face on the giant scoreboard, and you're like, holy smokes. Like, this is, I mean, I know I have plenty of college teammates that played. Angel Pagan was my center fielder. He played with the Mets and the Giants for many years. And you just go to the park and you try to soak it all in, like just enjoy it. And that's literally what I try to do every time I go and watch them. And I plan on seeing them as much as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame you at all on that. And I think a lot of Canadians are starting to pick up on how good this kid is. Talk about that start to this year, even to the start of his career, to be frank. I mean, the stats don't lie. He has been on fire. He's breaking records. He's doing things that haven't been seen in a generation. I mean, this is no small task that he is really undertaking here.
Absolutely. And I think you got to look back to the base fundamentals. Chris Rietsma, Jim Lawson. Rietsma from day one, when they got involved with the junior national team, Rietsma always was saying, this kid's going to be special, this kid's going to be special. And even, he's on the scouting side with other organizations, and you hear the draft is coming up, and you can almost hear the chatter of, oh, please, Braves, don't take him because I'm 2 slots away and I guarantee you I'll take him, kind of thing. So, I mean, the excitement you see in guys at that level, at the scouting level, when you see a kid rolling across the draft board and you see them licking their chops like that, you got to pay attention to the names that you see like that, because they turn out to be Mike Sorokas. Quite special, yeah.
And even beyond that is what ends up happening is it has that trickle-down effect to baseball here in Calgary, or baseball here in Alberta, or baseball here in Canada, as they look at some of these success stories that are starting to roll in, and all of a sudden it gives, the 15-year-old kid or the 12-year-old kid here an idea of, hey, I could do that too. Absolutely. And I think you see that even stretching back to the Blue Jays having their solid 2-year run there in the playoffs. I mean, enrollment at the youth levels for baseball in Alberta skyrocketed after that positive experience there. And I mean, at the end of the day, everyone needs somebody to look up to. And if I'm an East Coaster and there's not a whole heck of a lot of East Coast major leaguers to look up to, but I can vouch for it. If you have someone to look up to and bounce questions off, and Mike makes himself accessible to these younger groups when he's home in the off season to speak to, and he does a really good job at just saying, hey, I'm just a kid like you were a kid, and it can be done. So it's a really positive experience from start to finish to see something like this happen. So, and that's got to be the amazing part in and of itself as well, is that you've got a kid who isn't just making it in the big time, but he's also making a point of coming back here and trying to teach some of the youngsters as well that, hey, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah, and I mean, there's no doubt that Mike is a God-gifted kid. He has some talent handed to him, but he puts in an unbelievable amount of work with the Olympic training facilities here in Calgary. Bo Levi Mitchell, I know they train in the off-season together, and even obviously he has access to some very high-end therapy at spring training as well. So, I mean, just
keep at it. And I mean, he identified an issue in his weight training regime. They edited that, and look at him now. He's just setting records on a daily basis, and I don't want to say making it look easy, because it's not an easy job, but he's managing it very well, for sure.
Absolutely. Brent, I do appreciate the time on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Big thanks to Brent for joining us on the podcast, and big thanks to Ian Wilson, who is on the podcast right now. Ian, let's switch gears now, go from Mike Soroka and the story of his MLB dominance to what is going to be dominating a lot of people's minds heading into the summer baseball season here in this province, and that is the Western Canadian Baseball League. You have been going all out over the last couple of weeks, giving us all the previews for each of the teams. Who excites you the most heading into the 2019 campaign, just looking based only on paper?
Oh, now you're asking me to pick between my children there.
That's how I framed that with a lot of the coaches and managers as well, and they said the same thing. It's like, I don't know, it could be anybody's guess depending on what happens through the course of the summer.
Yeah, and just everyone in the league has been so receptive to the work that we do and the stories that we tell, and so just as a whole, it's a big shout out to all the coaching staffs and the owners and the players, because they are just fantastic with us and making themselves available and making time for us. And but to answer your question, sort of, it was it was fun to kind of break down. I've broken down most of the rosters as well as I can, and it's always an interesting mix of players and an interesting league to compete in, because first of all, there's the rebranding of the league this year, changing from the Western Major Baseball League to the Western Canadian Baseball League. So there's the name change, but also the schedule change, where there's going to be 56 game regular season, and that's a really compressed, heavy schedule for a few months in the summer in Alberta and Saskatchewan. So that will be, we'll see if that has an impact on any of the playoff races, and hopefully on some of the teams like Brooks and Fort Mac and other teams that maybe don't do as well at the gate, if they can use those extra dates to generate a little bit more revenue, and hopefully, from a financial point of view, just sustain them a little bit more. So I'll be curious, we'll always be kind of watching the attendance figures, and just on a personal level, the closest diamond to me is Siemens Stadium, and so I'm giddy about getting ready to go down there and watch some action there, and also to go up to the WCBL All-Star Game in Edmonton in July. So that'll be fun to go see and just get to the ballpark, because that's a big part of the fun, is just going out there and seeing the game unfold and learning the players, with your eyeballs rather than looking at a web page.
And I think part of the thing, too, is we've been covering the U.S. college scene for the last couple of months here, and you look at teams like the Okotoks Dogs and look at their roster and go, look at how many guys are doing so well, or, any other team for that matter. I mean, the Medicine Hat Mavericks are looking to repeat, so they are going all in. They've got a bunch of returners from last year. You've got Lethbridge, who had a ton of guys down south doing great things, whether it was Nick Ankerman or Dylan Borman. I mean, there's so many different storylines that are coming along, and then you look at coaching staffs, and you look at Ray Brown now being in charge in Fort Mac, and you have Jordan Blundell in Edmonton, and as you mentioned, Brooks is looking to turn the corner with their organization. So there's a lot of really intriguing storylines. So it is really tough to pick I don't want to call it a favorite, but I think that there's so many intriguing things that happen in such a short amount of time. Anything and everything is possible, and I think that's why it's so exciting from every organization's standpoint heading into this summer.
Absolutely, and just with the way you've set that up, maybe one way of framing it is things to be watching for in each market. So in Brooks, like I said, their attendance the first year went from 10,000 people in total. This is their fourth year, so they're entering their fourth season. The next year, so they went from averaging 470 fans to 270 fans to, I think it was 180 last year. So, that's kind of one of the main things I'll be watching for is how many butts they get in the seats down there, and if they can kind of turn things around from at the gates. And they also had some great storylines last year. You know, we had Riley McDonald in Brooks last year. He's not back. He's moved on to he's actually playing in Austria right now, and broke the home run record for the WCBL. So he's not going to be back, but they do have Damian Rodriguez is a good player. He had 9 home runs for them last year. They've got a couple of intriguing pitchers coming back. Pena is one of them from Bronx, New York, so they actually have a Bronx bomber in their lineup. You mentioned Ray Brown in Fort Mac, so that'll be intriguing as well. What can he bring to that market? You know, Brooks and Fort Mac are teams that are trying to get into the playoffs for the first time, and Ray Brown has been able to turn a franchise around. We saw him and Orb Franchuk do that in Edmonton and have playoff success in Edmonton. So does he have enough there in Fort Mac to make a run at playoffs? So that's one thing I'll be watching there. And then, you move on to Edmonton and Jordan Blundell. He's kind of getting the keys to the car, and it's an interesting market right now with all the talks surrounding Remax Field and the future of that ball diamond. So they had good crowds in their opening weekend, and hope that continues. And I'm curious to see the lineup that he's fielded. I know he spoke at length with you on your podcast previously about that lineup, and he's obviously very invested in that, knows it very well. And there's some interesting guys in that lineup. You seem to go for a lot of speed when it comes to the batters, and there could see a lot of stolen bases up there this season. And Lethbridge is definitely an intriguing one to me. I like a lot of the returning players that they had. I think on paper they look really good, so I don't. Yeah, like in some ways you look at that lineup and you think, how are they not a little bit better last year? But we'll see. Maybe this year they can be a little bit better. And Adam Macko, who's been talked up in advance of the draft, excited to see him pitch in that league. Moving on to Medicine Hat, 8 returning players from the championship team. They've got a good core of guys there. There's no reason they shouldn't be right back in the mix. And then Okotoks, every single year, all they do is have regular season dominance, and they recruit very well. They've got those great crowds and the great venue, great resources. So they'll be in the conversation as they are every year. And of course, the big one with them is can they get over the playoff hump and get to a final and win a final. So. Yeah, there's no shortage of storylines, so I'm excited about that. And then along the way, you get all the other, lesser storylines that kind of emerge out of nowhere. Last year it was Rich Walker throwing a perfect game. How cool is that? I mean, you never get to see those things. So the audience in Fort Mac got to see that last year, and unfortunately, he's not coming back. He was expected to play with the Giants this season, but. Ended up taking the summer off. He pitched quite a few innings stateside this year, so not a big surprise that he would take some time off. But, looking forward to all that. And then, one of the other storylines last year was Mitch Schmidt, Big Bear throwing chairs. So I don't know if we'll get anything quite that volatile this year, but those stories always kind of emerge and always make it fun to be at the ballpark. You never know what kind of game you're gonna show up at.
Well, and especially if we get a little bit of agreeance from Mother Nature on whether or not she wants to see some ball being played over the course of the summer. And you get the feeling that some of these rivalries are just getting started, right? Like you look at, especially with Brooks and Fort Mac in the mix now, and teams have started. You could even tell there was a few, mired shots, I suppose, thrown at one another about the rivalries and that kind of thing. And so a lot of these teams brought back a lot of returning players because they know how important those playoff spots are come the end of July. And so I'm really looking forward to, as you mentioned, just seeing where teams are. are. And I agree with you on the Lethbridge front in particular. And as Jesse Sawyer alluded to in our podcast previously, is he faced some injury problems early on, and guys who they had some expected arms that weren't able to show up. And so all of a sudden you almost have to have those pieces all line up just perfectly for you, because it is such a short season. Even though it is 56 games this year, you need everything to come together. Otherwise, it can fall apart real quick on you. And like you said, all you got to do is ask the Okotoks Dogs what happens when you have a great regular season and then you face a little bit of adversity come playoff time and things might not go your way. So really looking forward to seeing whether Mitch Schmidt can turn things around come playoff time, whether the Lethbridge Bulls have got all their horses lined up. Can Medicine Hat actually repeat? Does Edmonton have enough speed to maybe play a little bit more small ball than we're expected? And then, of course, like you said, you have Brooks and Fort Mac looking to turn the hump and get their first playoff berths for each organization to play. Final question for you, Ian, as we head into the summer. What are you most excited for? Bar none, is there a day on the calendar, or is it just getting out there and having a hot dog finally in the stands at some of the ballparks around the province? What is it that you're really excited for?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, just being at the ballpark is always special. I know, like, I was reflecting on last season, and there was one moment after one of the games last year, and one of the great things that the Dogs do is the fans are free to come onto the field after the game and run the bases and get signatures from the players, get balls signed, and play catch with the players. And I just one blue sky day last year, I remember after one of the games, and I was getting ready to leave, and then I just watched Ryan Homeniak, Manitoba kid who trained at Dogs Academy and played with the Dogs last season, just kind of coming out, and he was just playing catch with the kids, and it was just beautiful moment, and just one of those, it's you see it all the time, but it's just one of those really nice things. I remember seeing Saul Rodriguez with the Medicine Hat Mavericks doing the same thing, just playing catch with one of the kids, and that was in Okotoks too. He's playing with one of the quote unquote rival kids, but that means a lot to the fans, and they love getting those moments. So, but more specifically, I am looking forward to the MLB draft coming up, because that's an exciting day for a lot of kids, a lot of families. To have their name called and to be drafted, that's always an exciting time, and it's often the start of an exciting journey, no matter where it goes after that. So that'll be really intriguing and really fun to watch which Alberta players get their names called those few days. And then after that, the All-Star game. That's a new thing to us. We haven't seen that. I'm curious about the format. I'm curious about the events. It's a pretty big ballpark, so is there going to be a home run derby? How's that?
Yeah.
How is that going to look? So all the festivities to go along with that weekend should be interesting. And then, to the end of the season, the best of three format. It's no longer a best of five. So those playoff series are going to be really quick, and really you're going to have your stuff together in a hurry, or you're going to be bounced from the playoffs pretty quick. So, but yeah, just generally speaking, getting out in the sunshine and, taking my camera out and shooting some ball and watching some ball. It's going to be a great summer for that.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what you've got up your sleeve. And of course, we got a lot coming up under our sleeves when it comes to the podcast as well. So you're going to want to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And of course, follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AB Dugout Stories is where you can go to check us out on all three of those. It is about that time where we wrap things up here on the podcast. Ian, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy baseball season.
And a big thanks to all of you for downloading and listening to Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast.